All right. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody, I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. I want to give a shout out for the city of Houston trying to get back on your knees after you were knocked on your back. Shout out to Hurricane Burl that reminded everybody we're not heat proof and we're not waterproof. I pray everybody's got their power back. I hope everybody's got their signal, the internet back. The grocery stores are opening and businesses are returning to normal. Listen, storms are storms. In life, they say Father Time is undefeated, and Mother Nature has a perfect record as well. So, peace and blessings to the recovery effort. We have a lot of people out there in utility trucks trying to do it. And for the people that are threatening the utility people, listen, they're there to help you. All right. So, whatever the situation is, I understand your frustration. You may be upset. There's no need to get violent. Okay. So, that's another thing. Also, small shout out. Small shout out to my main man, Frank, cousin Frank. Cousin Frank had a stroke early this year, and unfortunately, he had another stroke. He's at Washington Medical in Washington D.C. So for those that can't go, please, please, please make dua for him and his recovery. These things are difficult. Strokes are very, very difficult and have long recovery periods. So we're going to ask in advance for your duas that Allah may give him shifa. Okay, let's get to the bar. Let's get to the bottom of the story today. This topic is why Trump wins is how America loses. Now there are a lot of things that happen. You have the RNC convention in Milwaukee. You had the assassination attempt on Trump. You know, nobody. I don't believe in violence. I may not agree with you, but I don't. I don't. I never agreed with violence to solve anything. It never does. But if you remove those two things, I would say Joe Biden and no Biden, that America's in trouble. That we're in a weird, winding road that leads not to this situation where things get worse. It leads to a situation where we reveal ourselves who we are as a country. Let me tell you about America. And I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But these are notes that I had when I was a kid. And I'm talking about being 8 or 9 years old. And I learned a word when I was 8 or 9 years old. I knew what it was, but I really learned what it was. And that word was addiction. 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 Unnerving, unrealistic, mental cravings for something. A lot of times that is not healthy. The word addiction is never really attached to anything positive. And I'm not going to attach anything positive to what I'm about to say. America has an addiction to its own lies. What I mean when I say America has an addiction to its own lies is that we put ourselves in a situation whereby you have dual realities. Uh, what I mean by dual realities is it's one situation, but everybody has their own scenario about how it works. Like in America, if you ask people, if you ask a group of people, like a group of white people down south, let's just go down, the aspect of black existence, in a way, they're going to tell you black existence is to serve white existence. Are they wrong? Yes. Are they wrong to themselves? The answer is no. And the reason is they've been fed a steady diet of lies whereby it tastes bitter, it tastes coarse, but if you eat enough of it, it begins to taste good. If you eat enough of it and it is still bitter and coarse, you'll find some way, somehow, to find something positive about it. Like, I don't like to eat spinach when I was a kid, but after a while, you'll say, I need the spinach because it has iron. It has things that are good for you. In America, American lies have proven the same way. And when we get into the political process, I talk about how Trump wins. It's not that he wins because he really puts out the effort, that he particularly has an ethic. What he has is a science to recognize that people don't have an ethic. He has a science to realize that these people, push comes to shove, are just as immoral as he is, and the only difference is they hide it better. That it takes a little bit longer to reveal who these people are. In the United States, we're a country that's ruled by laws, and we have a judicial body called the U.S. Supreme Court, who, for lack of a better word, are far removed from the people. They're left to interpret law that's hundreds of years old. Hundreds of years old. They quote statutes and give them life in modern day society, modern day reality, and we're stuck with the decision. Over and over and over. The addiction becomes bigger and bigger, the lies become bigger and bigger, and you are right now on the precipice that we will elect a person who is a felon, a criminal, a womanizer, and a rapist to the highest office in the United States. Two things you need to understand. If you're black, if you're a woman, if you're Native American, if you're Spanish, if you are any part of the underclass here in the United States, underclass or underserved here in the United States, the process that you're watching has nothing to do with you. You literally don't have value to this process. You know, the Democrats used to be the Districrats, and the GOP stands for the Grand Old Party. Neither one of them yell out diversity. Neither one of them scream inclusion. And they never will. And they never have. You know, I've never been one for conspiracy theories. But there's something that Dick Gregory, the Honorable Mr. Dick Gregory, said to me a long time ago. He said, when a lie becomes legal and the truth becomes illegal, he said, your country is dead. And I want everybody to know we haven't been in this tailspin all of a sudden. We've been watching it bit by bit by bit by bit. And we keep holding out hope. Like I said, how Trump wins is how America loses. America is built on hope. They sell you hope knowing that they built this foundation on lies. We're going to be talking about this a lot more here on this episode of the Shout Out Show. Why Trump wins is how America loses. I'm Preacher Moss. We'll be right back. Don't you move. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't move. All right, we're back. So I'm going to continue this. If you guys don't mind, I'm actually going to give a shout out to our folks, our shout out family, the faithful shout out soldiers. Sister E, how you doing, Sister E? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings to you and your family, Derek, and of course, my main man, Jawad. Shout out to my main man, Altaf Rashid. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, coming in all the way from Toronto. He's a Canadian envoy to the show, one of our day ones, Mr. Straight Up, Straight Down. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we have my mom, better known as Mama's Son. She said, SOS family, have a great day. Thank you so much, Mom. And she's going to probably attest to some of this. Mom, I'm going to tell some of these dinner table conversations you were giving me when I was 9. I want y'all to know my mom was giving me the game when I was 9 and 8 and 7 years old. Okay. Shout out, Mama Son. My main man, Bilal Salahuddin, and his queen, Sister Sonia Dolphin Salahuddin. What's going on, big brother? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry about last week, everybody. Listen, no power, no signal. These are the realities of hurricanes. Forgive me. I could have tried to do something, but I'm like, I can't sit up in a hot car trying to give you a show. It was not going to work. Believe me, the city of Houston felt like one big air fryer. So I'm just putting it out there. So peace and blessings. Thank y'all so much. And of course, we have our illustrious queen, executive producers of the show. My sister Satana Whitfield. Thanks so much for joining us to the show. Peace and blessings to the Whitfield family. Make sure you give my salams to mom and dad. Good people, very good people. I enjoy them. Oh, and we got some people out here in Instagram land, I believe. Okay, we got Two Army Creed. We got Arfan. We got Barbara Broski. Okay, cool. I got everybody. So let me also tell you guys that I don't know for whatever reason, but StreamYard is cutting out some of our channels for Facebook. They managed to cut out 2 channels. Of course, we've been going on since 2020, and all of a sudden we don't have any value to some of these Facebook channels. It is what it is. Let me get back to you. Let me give you guys a little story. Let me give you a little game that I saw today. Right? I'll give you a little game. So I'm trying to get out of downtown. It's a lot of traffic, heat, big storm coming. And on the aisle, listen to me, on the aisle, there was a Latina woman. She was selling dandelions, like big dandelion flowers. And you sit there going, who in the world would want to buy dandelions at a stoplight in this heat? You maybe water or something, but dandelions, no. And when she turned around with the dandelions, she had her baby right here. You hear me now? She had a baby right here, and they were in that heat, and she was committed to selling dandelions for whatever money she could make. That's America, brothers and sisters. That's the America that nobody wants to see. Because there are people who may have to do things that are a lot more desperate than selling dandelions to put food on the table. To keep the AC on, to keep the heat on, to pay for the kids' school, to pay for groceries. This is the level of desperation. And I sat there watching that lady thinking, is she at a level where she really thinks that she can sell dandelions and make a profit? That maybe somehow, someplace, maybe down the corner, there's someone else as a part of a group that's selling dandelions as well. And maybe they have a co-op. And at the end of the day, they have a lot of money that they've made for selling these flowers. But I started thinking, I'm like, this is America. Of course they don't have the co-op. They're on these corners with no permits. They're on these corners without permission because they're desperate. And the scope that I'm really going to say here is because America in and of itself, of its greed and its avarice, hasn't figured out a way not to take the money from that woman selling the dandelions, but to pressure her to go out and sell those dandelions and take whatever money she has from her efforts through taxes. Let the church say amen. Here's a game my mom gave me a long time ago. And, bear with me here. But my mom gave me some game, and it happened when my friend Leon Alexander turned me on to an album. So what my mom was telling me didn't really click till I heard this album, right? Because my mom was telling me about realities that she was going through, that she was, as a child, her, my aunt in Danville, Virginia, the racism, the Jim Crow, okay? But I didn't really understand it because, it's coming from your mom, and you say, my mom's such a beautiful person, or my dad's such a beautiful person, so loving. They couldn't have come through all of that because they wouldn't be able to be so loving. All your parents went through hell. All your parents went through hell. All your parents went through hell. Everybody here, your parents went through hell. Shout out, little brother. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, JT. Beautiful picture of my nephew over in Yale. Shout out to Jordan, 19 years old. But my mom gave me this game, and she started talking to me about race. And when you're young, you're like, because at that point in time, we had moved to a predominantly white neighborhood. And I felt racism, but the problem was it wasn't as organized as what my mom was talking about. And because it wasn't as organized, I didn't value it as much. And what my mom was telling me was so succinct and detailed, it was like, that can't be true. The funny thing about racism in America is you don't really believe it until you see it. But there was a song put out by this group called The Last Poets. And the name of the album, I can't remember the name of the album, but there was one song. And the name of that song was called Niggas Are Scared of Revolution. It said, niggas are scared of revolution. And the first line says, niggas are scared of revolution, but niggas shouldn't be scared of revolution because revolution is nothing but change, and all niggas do is change. That's your political system. except they are afraid of revolution because they run into people who are revolutionary core of believers and spiritual believers who say this change is good change. This change is meaningful change. That in the scope of American development, it's always the minorities who have to supersede, if you will. They have to somehow extend themselves to a certain level of greatness that oppressors cannot see in and of themselves. You know what happens when you're around people who are not creative, around people who are not just, around people who are not truthful? It creates a situation because those people in those categories that I mentioned to you, they can't be around you because they can't be the best version of themselves, which is a corrupted version of themselves. Think of what I'm saying. I can't be the best liar around Satana. I can't be the untruthful person around Bilal. I can't be a thief around JT. I can't be a murderer around Althoff. I can't do these things because these people present a conundrum, if you will, that their excellence somehow, some way, compromises me to the point where I start to not value what I see. And what you have now is a reversal of that. In a sense, you have a reversal of that because you now see, I want to say, the age of underachieving has reached political heights. The age of underachievers, the age of people who don't work hard, the age of laziness, the age of lying, the age of trickery, the age of murder, the age of oppression has now found mainstream presence. And it's lined up right next to the presidency. You say, preach, who do we have to blame for it? That's the thing. Who do you have to blame for it? That's the thing. Because the people are going to be most affected. We can't blame other folks. And here's the reason why. Because we know who we're dealing with. One of the most insightful things that Martin Luther King ever said is when they asked him about being equal to white people, he sat back. He said, I ain't say I want to be equal to white folk. He never said that. And if you go back in all his speeches, he never talked about wanting to be equal to white folks. He might have talked about equality, but equality, his definition, had to do with a divine understanding of being children of God in his space. In his moral tradition that he studied, it was about equality that comes from God. Not the equality that comes from some oppressor going, all right, well, you can eat with me. You can go. See what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? A light went on with a lot of people. I often say this is when King was probably marked for death. This is when Martin Luther King said, wait a minute. Are you saying I want to be equal to that over there? He said, no. He said, we just want equal access. Nobody said they wanted to hang out with white people. Nobody want to hang out with people who don't want to hang out with them. Right? And in two situations, when he tells the story, the narrative, if you will, of his last speech before he's assassinated, I've been to the mountaintop, he talks about the idea of time and presence. And the idea of time and presence is so prolific that it doesn't mention the oppressors. It doesn't mention the tyrants. It doesn't mention that. It mentions that you soar over all of that. Because these people, in a long scope of time, we're talking about traditional time, they don't even make that much of an imprint. They don't make that much of an imprint. And so we have an RNC in Milwaukee, which is a bit of a referendum, if you will. These people believe, according to this 2025 project, if you begin to look at it, is that this is a referendum, but this is a reformist movement to take America back. To take America back to a point where America, in their eyes, is an America that they agree with. And if anyone does not agree with that America, then you just won't be a part of it. That if you're not a part of this system, then the system that they're going to put you in is the one that, I telling my friend John Adams this story about being down in Florida some years ago, and I was walking to the store. I didn't want to give up my parking spot. I was walking to the store across the street. I was a little jaywalking a little bit, but I was running to get across there. I thought I had a second or two. And when I got out, a cop pulled up, and I'm like, I don't know what he's looking for. Woo! Pulled me over. He stopped, stopped walking. I'm like, what is this all about? And the cop comes out and he goes, the reason I pulled you over, I'm like, you can't really pull me over. I don't have a car, but please continue, right? And he says the reason I pulled you over because there's been a lot of drug activity in this area and people are concerned. And I'm like, I'm concerned about drug activity too. Where is it at? Tell me where not to go. He goes, well, we have people going out. So why are you stopping me talking about drugs? And I'm like, I don't have any drugs, brother. I don't even have clarity on me. And I needed the clarity, and that's where I was going. He goes, well, and I'm like, look, whatever it is you're trying to do, handle your business. Let me go ahead. And the guy starts giving me a lecture about the importance of drug enforcement in the United States. Now, I don't know what level of kindergarten this man failed, but you start talking to me about drugs, but here's the thing. He talked to me about drugs in America like it was my problem. Like somehow, somewhere, I contributed to it. And I sit here listening because I was going to say something. I sat there listening, and the guy goes, do you have a problem? I go, yeah. I said, please continue your point. And he, buffed up. And I'm going to tell y'all something. This is really bad. I'm going to tell you. If you really want to have fun, when somebody's ignorant, act like you're really paying attention. He says, my point is, I said, well, hold on, let me shit. What is your point, right? This guy starts telling me that drugs are in America. My job is to lock up the drug dealers. I said, He said, what do you think? I said, look, man, you don't really want to know what I think. He said, no, please tell me what you think. I'm like, dude, I'm going to give you the game as best I can. I said, you're in a cycle that's so deep, that's so detached from what's going on here. I said, people, your superiors are telling you that drugs are illegal, but they won't tell you that they made addiction legal. I mean, you want to impress me? Go run a raid on a CVS or a Rite Aid or a Walgreens or something. The drugs are all there. He didn't like that. But what's my point, though? I may say that a year from now, and that might be construed as inciting a riot. I may have a bit of legitimate intellect that I want to share, but if you're trying to share it in a marketplace of people who have no creativity, have no intellect, then of course it is the idea that you throw the bums out, that they march you to the gallows. And you have a president who potentially has one of the lowest social IQs, devoid of emotional intelligence, who does not know the people, who claims relationships with people that he wouldn't have visit his house, not even cut his grass. But the magic is he knows that he's dealing with people who want to be identified as anything other than what we look like. Describe or identified as anything other than those folks. Those folks, our underclass, our women. It's interesting. I talked about the Latino sister selling the sunflowers. I remember years ago in DC, there was a black guy. He was trying to sell flowers. I don't know where he got them. He's trying to sell flowers in downtown DC. And I went to a store and I said, well, man, if I get some change, I'm going to buy a flower from you. And when I came back out, he was being arrested because he didn't have a permit to sell those flowers. But today I saw somebody selling dandelions with a baby in the heat. And we're talking about this shifting, if you will, this new paradigm of permissibility of what people are going to be able to do and not be able to do. And it's going to have a lot to do, if you will, with cultural bias. If you really want to get into conspiracy theories, I got 2 minutes. I'm going to give you this one. The whole idea of dismantling any kind of teaching of critical race theory is that critical race theory is critical thinking applied to race, applied to politics, applied to religion, applied to relationships, applied to economics. But in this space, critical race theory calls into question what people's core values are. And I've said this over and over and over again because it was the thing that allowed for the dismantling of DEI initiatives across the country. Whole DEI initiatives have been removed. People have lost jobs. Why? Because people can't afford to look at folks that remind them that they're wrong, that remind them of the lie, that from the crack pipe of lies that America has been smoking for all these years, it causes pause. And people go, I don't want that kind of reality. You know, the thing that's probably the most potent and most missing right now, and by design, is the dismantling and the disempowering efforts to suppress the genius and the brilliance of Black women. Let me tell you why. You see, a Black woman more than a Black man in America represents life, but also represents life giving. Let me explain that. There's the potential for life, but then there's also the potential to give life giving. And life giving is love giving. You know, we've talked about this over a couple of years. We talked about the commercials over the years, how you don't have a Black family together anymore. It's a Black woman and a white guy, or Black guy and a white woman and a mixed family and all of that, you know, because the essence is so powerful. It's so powerful that even in Hollywood, there's been a concerted effort to make sure that Black woman is not connected to that Black community 100%. That the pure essence of Black intellect in America that fuels things like Islam in America, that fuels this things like a political understanding in different parties. You know, there's a reason why nobody wants Black folk to vote. And it's not that the Black vote is important, it's imperative. What it is it's a reminder. A reminder. So you got to understand, people have been trying to take the vote away. It's just that it looks ugly now. Trying to take votes away from Blacks is ugly now. Trying to take votes away from women is ugly now. You know, our brothers and sisters that come from overseas, you know, their vote is threatened and it says you have to vote this way. You know, you're not given a choice because people don't want you to come up with your own initiatives. How Trump wins in America is how America loses. And this is what I'm going to say, closing. Trump lies. He lies. That's the core of who he is. We're never going to understand who Donald Trump is because he's a sociopath. They jump around. They need different circles to do. You know, what he did in business now he's trying to do as a president. And when he wasn't president, he tried to do it as an influence and so on and so forth. But what Trump does is, if you're going to call him a liar, he'll turn a light on you and go, hey, America, what about your lies? Right? That's why he can come to the Black community, the Latino community, and talk about how America has done them. And somehow he's not a part of that America. He shamed America to the point of where he is today. He shamed them. Did he shame Black America, Latino America, Muslim America? No, he shamed white America. And at the same time, the genius is in shaming white America, he goes, the only way you can do better and redeem yourself is to make sure that you're not like those folks. Genius. Evil genius, but it's genius. I'm Preacher Mars. This is ShOUT Show. Have a blessed day. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hey, let's start winning. Take care.